Good morning. My name is Beverley. Beverley Leichtag. Leichtag means daylight, and it is a German name. My ex-husband was actually French, but his father was from Hungary. My background is very mixed because my father was from Vienna, my mother was from Berlin, my grandparents were from Poland, and my other grandparents were from Hungary. I myself was born in London 56 years ago. I lived in London for 29 years, and at the age of 29, with 4 children, I moved to Israel. Israel in the Middle East, Jerusalem in particular, has been my home for the last 27 years. For the last 6 years, I have travelled. When my children grew up, and I had my first granddaughter, I decided to start to travel and do what young people do when they're in their 20s, as I got married when I was 19. My first port of call was Beijing, where I lived for 18 months. From Beijing, I moved to Rome, which I didn't really like, and from Rome I moved on to Vienna. From Vienna I consequently went to London in the summer and worked with the British Council. I've been working for Beverley for 16 years, both in Israel, Beijing, Rome, and from London I moved to Vienna. In Vienna I have worked there for the last 3 years, spending 6 months of the year there. And now I am also in Spain, in Santander, which is the north of Spain, working with the university, where I work every winter. So when I saw your advertisement on the One Stop English, I was delighted to find a new adventure. I started teaching when I was 15 years old. I received my first teaching certificate when I was 18. I hadn't planned to go into a career of teaching, but it just sort of fell in my lap. I used to teach in primary school children till the age of 11. After I left England, I worked as a social worker. I have also run my own business of matchmaking. I have been a tour guide. I studied tour guiding for Israel and abroad, international tour guiding. I'm also a tour guide for the Holocaust Museum, and so I travel with people to Poland, all over Poland, talking about the Holocaust. Being an Israeli tour guide, I have a very deep insight into the political stress and strife in Israel. 16 years ago, I decided to re-qualify yet again and become an ESL teacher, and I have worked for Berlitz, run my own school, British Council, American school, and probably Wall Street in the future as well, for the last 16 years, and I also work in the university in Spain once a year for 3 to 4 months. I believe that I have something different to bring to the Peace Boat, even though I'm a mother and a grandmother who is normally working for a living. It would be for me a very big thing to give up a salary and come to be part of the Peace Boat drive. I truly believe that I can bring something to the table that is unique. I have an insight into Judaism, Arab conflict, Israeli conflict. I love politics, but I believe that part of my message of leaving Israel 6 years ago, was to spread the word to people, not to look at Israel and the Arab conflict in a new light. Over the last 6 years, I know I have touched people's lives, and I have changed their minds in the way they look at Jewish people, Arabs, and the conflict in the Middle East. And I believe truly that if I've managed to touch one person's life, then that person will go on and tell someone else about a different opinion. When I worked in China, I had some Saudi students from the Embassy of Saudi Arabia, and one of them told me, and that was probably one of my biggest compliments, that when he went home, he intended to tell his father that he had met a Jewish Israeli who was totally different from all the stories that he had ever heard. I try to consider myself non-political. My message is always of peace and confidence. And as a teacher, my expertise is interviewing, motivation, and confidence building. I believe in working on the whole person, encouraging the whole person, and encouraging them in the classroom. I pride myself that to this day I still hear from students from years ago who quote me back the words that I say. I'm in love with the English language. I speak English, Hebrew, and some German, 3 words in Chinese, and almost nothing in Spanish. I do not have an aptitude for languages myself, probably like most English people, but I am a communicator. I am able to travel around the world. I'm able to travel around the world and communicate with people just from body language. My students in China used to ask me how I used to get the best prices, and they used to tell them, my students, the sellers, that I smiled. I'm always optimistic, I'm always happy. First and foremost, I'm a mother and a grandmother. They are the loves of my life. I adore them, and I try to go home to Israel as often as I can to see them. But I'm passionate about my work. I'm passionate about my teaching. I am also a journalist. I am a budding author. I was already offered to have my book of my life published, but then there was strife in Israel and they decided not to publish it, and I intend to self-publish sometime in the future. I believe I have something to offer that is different, not because I'm special, not because I'm beautiful, not because I'm thin, and not because I'm tall, but because I motivate, and I'm passionate about sharing what I consider my gift with other people. I truly believe that I have a gift of communication and a message of endurance and peace. My life has not been easy, it has been complicated and difficult. I brought up my 4 children by myself without any financial help from my ex-husband. I was brought up to be a religious Jewess, but today do not practice religion. I believe that there is something above our heads that is stronger and spiritual, and that has driven me to move around the world and to teach and share what I consider my gift of communication. I have students from all over the world, because after my day's work I also teach online, and I have 2 students from Japan, China, Russia, South America, and as far as New Zealand, coming to study with me. I would really love to be part of your peace process ship. I think it is an exciting opportunity. I hope I won't get seasick, but I am really excited about it, and I hope that I will be considered for an interview. Thank you for your time.